In 1924, a group of businessmen met in Geneva to decide how long a light bulb should last. They didn't debate innovation, they didn't debate quality. They agreed to cut its lifespan from 2,500 hours down to 1,000. Why? Because if it lasted too long, you wouldn't buy another. That decision had a name: planned obsolescence. That same idea is alive today, just hidden better. Modern cars are filled with plastic timing guides, thin piston rings, and non-serviceable transmissions. Parts engineered not to last, but to fail. Cars designed to die around 100,000 miles, right when repairs become unavoidable. But history didn't always cooperate. There were moments when engineers beat the accountants, when cars were built accidentally too good. These are the 9 cars manufacturers hate, because if you buy one, you might never need another. We start with the car that nearly broke Mercedes-Benz's own service business because it simply refused to need repairs: the W123 300D. Introduced in the late 1970s, it came from an era when Mercedes engineers still designed for permanence, not turnover. At its core was the OM 617 5-cylinder diesel, fully mechanical, no computers, no electronic dependencies. Just compression, fuel, and mass. These cars didn't wear out, they spread. Taxi fleets ran them until the interiors collapsed while the engines kept going. In parts of Africa, they're still working, long after the odometers surrendered. Mercedes learned the lesson the hard way. Machines like this don't sustain parts departments, so the philosophy was abandoned. Find one without terminal rust, and you're looking at one of the closest things to a truly unkillable car ever sold. This car survives by being boring on purpose. The 7th-generation Honda Civic didn't become indestructible by accident. It became indestructible by restraint. Honda kept it simple when everyone else was adding complexity. But there's a rule: break it, and the magic is gone. You avoid the automatic transmission. That was the flaw, the accountant's compromise. Find one with the 5-speed manual, and the car changes personality. The 1.7-liter engine is barely working, understressed, unimpressed by abuse. Mechanics don't fear these cars because nothing dramatic ever happens to them. An alternator costs lunch money. A water pump is cheaper than a tank of gas. Fleet shops ran them into the ground and then kept going. This Civic is everything modern manufacturers despise. It's affordable, it's predictable, and once it's paid off, it simply refuses to die. Jeep's reputation today is earned. But in the 1990s, they made a mistake they've never been able to repeat: the Cherokee XJ. At the heart of it is the 4.0-liter inline-6, an engine with agricultural DNA. Cast iron block, cast iron head, built to make torque low and slow, which means it's never under real stress. Everything else around it will give up first. The body rusts, interior plastics crumble, door handles snap, the air conditioning quits without apology. But the engine keeps running, misfiring, leaking, sometimes angry, sometimes ignored. Fleet mechanics saw these go hundreds of thousands of miles with minimal intervention. Owners didn't book major repairs. They improvised: wrenches, hammers, hope. Jeep didn't intend to build something this stubborn, and they've spent decades trying not to do it again. In 1989, Toyota didn't want to compete with Mercedes. They wanted to humiliate them. So they did something unheard of. They removed the budget ceiling. Engineers were told to build the best car possible, cost irrelevant. The result was the Lexus LS400. At its core sat the one UZF EV8, an engine engineered with obsessive precision. Forged internals, overbuilt cooling, tolerances so tight that some American factories physically couldn't machine the parts to spec. It was quiet, smooth, and catastrophically durable. Toyota spent over $1 billion developing this car, then sold it at a loss, on purpose, just to pull customers away from the Germans. One example famously crossed 1 million miles on its original engine, still running like nothing unusual happened. From a business standpoint, this car was a disaster. From an engineering standpoint, it was theft. Buying one today is like stealing a secret Toyota never meant to give away. General Motors has earned its reputation. But buried inside decades of mediocrity was one quiet act of redemption: the 3800 V6. Found in cars like the Buick LeSabre and Park Avenue, it wasn't fast, it wasn't flashy, and it wasn't stressed. And that's exactly why it refuses to die. The 3800 never made enough power to hurt itself. Thick castings, conservative tuning, parts that wear slowly and predictably. Fleet mechanics still talk about it like a myth. oil changes, basic maintenance, and it just keeps going. These cars were bought by older owners who drove gently and serviced them religiously. That's why so many survive in disturbingly good condition. From a repair standpoint, they're boring. Nothing catastrophic ever happens. Mechanics quietly agree this was the best engine GM ever built, and GM killed it, because engines like this don't generate repair bills. For more than 3 decades, police departments, taxi fleets, and livery services all made the same choice. Not because it was modern, not because it was efficient, but because it wouldn't quit. The Ford Crown Victoria was built to survive 24-hour abuse without apology. Its secret was old school, body-on-frame construction. If something bent, you unbolted it and kept going. Curbs, potholes, low-speed crashes, none of it mattered. Under the hood sat the 4.6-liter V8, understressed, predictable, and easy to keep alive. Every mechanic knew it. Every parts store stocked it. Fleet managers loved it because repairs were cheap and downtime was minimal. That was the problem. In 2011, Ford ended it. Fleets were pushed toward newer, more complex, more expensive cars that broke more often. Durability had become a liability. The Crown Vic didn't disappear because it failed. It disappeared because it succeeded too well. The Toyota Land Cruiser exists outside normal automotive logic. While most vehicles are quietly engineered for a 10 to 15-year service life, the Land Cruiser was designed for 25 years of continuous use, often in the worst conditions imaginable. Not highways, not suburbs, deserts, jungles, conflict zones. Everything about it is excessive on purpose, frames reinforced beyond necessity, wheel bearings that feel industrial, drivetrains engineered to tolerate bad fuel, neglect, and constant load without complaint. That's why aid organizations, militaries, and remote fleets trusted it when failure wasn't an option. It's also why older examples hold or gain value, because people understand something manufacturers won't say out loud. Cars like this don't fit modern economics, and that's exactly why they're disappearing. The Toyota Hilux is not a vehicle. It's a geological constant. This truck doesn't just survive history, it shows up in it. Wars have been fought around it, militias have mounted weapons on it, aid organizations tried to replace it and failed. Governments tried to kill it and couldn't. The Hilux operates in places where roads don't exist and maintenance is theoretical. That's not marketing, that's engineering. The engines are deliberately understressed. They make modest power and live forever. The frames are massively overbuilt. The suspension is primitive, uncomfortable, and nearly indestructible. Nothing is optimized for comfort. Everything is optimized for survival. There's a reason the Top Gear test became famous. Drowned in the ocean, set on fire, crushed by a collapsing building. It didn't get repaired, it got restarted. Toyota didn't design the Hilux for focus groups or profit margins. They designed it for permanent abuse. Modern trucks, with touchscreens, sensors, and fragile electronics, aren't replacements. They're concessions. Top of the list, because this one broke the business model entirely. The Volvo 240 is what happens when safety engineers accidentally build an immortal car. Designed in the 1970s, it was engineered like a Swedish bunker. Thick steel panels, brutally simple wiring, engines that never rev high enough to hurt themselves. Volvo wasn't chasing excitement or margins. They were obsessed with survival, and they overdid it. These cars routinely cross 400,000 to 500,000 miles with nothing more than basic maintenance. Fleet mechanics trusted them. Families kept them for decades. The interiors feel like IKEA furniture made out of concrete, ugly, boxy, and impossible to destroy. Nothing breaks quickly. Nothing is complicated. From a financial standpoint, it was a disaster. A car that refuses to fail doesn't generate repairs, replacements, or urgency. Volvo eventually killed the 240 for one reason. It made no sense to keep selling a car this honest. This wasn't transportation. It was a lifetime contract disguised as a box. These cars prove something the industry doesn't like to admit. Manufacturers can build things that last. They just choose not to. Longevity isn't impossible, it's inconvenient. Durable machines don't generate repeat buyers. They don't feed parts departments. They don't keep service bays full.